What's going on? It's Jermaine Johnson here with Jermaine Jackson, former NBA ball player. So tell me, what was the NBA life like?
It was a beautiful thing. I mean, you meet a lot of people, you play in a lot of exciting stadiums and, sellout crowds and the traveling and things like that. And then, once you come back to your community, people celebrate you, but you're also going to the community to celebrate them and help them, just to let them know, I made it from the community and this inner city and you can also. So it was a great blessing that God, it was a great blessing and the tool that God gave me to utilize.
That's what's up. Now, do you have a moment that sticks out as far as like one of the biggest moments in your career?
Well, I think it was when I was with the Toronto Raptors and Alvin Williams had got in foul trouble and Chris Childs wasn't playing, and that was a game that I got my first double-double against the Atlanta Hawks, and it kind of stood out, and it was, a great blessing from God that I was able to get a, double-double in front of my family and things like that, something that I worked hard for.
And what the people want to know, can you still hoop today?
Yeah, I hoop every day. I mean, I got to still hoop because, I got a son that's coming up in the 9th grade, and he got some skills with him, and I got to, work with him and train with him, and sometimes he throw the ball out and say, Daddy, let's play one-on-one, and I can't let him beat me.
What's going on? It's Jermaine Johnson here. You're watching episode number 102 of About 10 Minutes. I appreciate Jermaine talking on camera. He's a real cool guy. I've known him for some years, and it had been a while since I've seen him, though, so it was good seeing him.
Many in the present day will quickly tell you yes. When you ask if they're a good person, as it relates to righteousness, they'll talk about the acts of kindness, how much they...
So in today's episode, I want to talk about time management. And so it's like one of the things about time is time is a very valuable commodity. Once the day is gone, it's gone. God can do things in our lives even when we make mistakes and help us to get ahead. But ideally, we want to make sure that we don't waste opportunities. We want to make sure that we don't squander opportunities, that God gives us. So it's important to be good stewards over our time. Have you ever had a day maybe where it felt like you had a whole bunch of downtime, where it really didn't seem like you had a whole lot to do, and then the very next day it seemed like you had a whole bunch of stuff to do, and it's like, man, where did all this come from? Sometimes in situations like that, in hindsight, you can think to yourself, man, I should have did this yesterday, I should have did that yesterday. One of the things that can really help out with time management is planning things out and writing things down. You can have kind of goals for the day that you want to do, or maybe goals for the week. And it's not necessarily like these things are in stone, like you have to do them, but it's kind of like, okay, this is the direction that I'm trying to head in. If God leads us in a different direction, like, okay, no, I want you to focus on this today, then you just make that adjustment, then we can just make that adjustment. Because sometimes, when you have a lot of time on your hands, you can start to feel like, man, I don't have anything to do, or there ain't nothing going on. Like, for instance, maybe on a Tuesday, you may have a day where it's like you really don't have a whole lot going on, and it may just feel like, man, there's nothing going on. It may feel like the day is going by real slow. Then that next day on Wednesday, you got a ton of stuff to do. And it's like, looking back, it's like, man, okay, I should have did some of that on Tuesday. Planning things out can be very beneficial to us. And then also, it's important for us to take an inventory of our lives and see how we're spending our time on a daily basis, And I've talked about this type of thing before. First and foremost, we need to keep Christ first. We need to spend time with God. And we need to look at, okay, how are we using our time on a daily basis? But it's like, if we really take a step back and look at our lives, there's always something we can be doing. I mean, like, we know as Christians we should be making disciples. So that's something that we can be doing with our time as far as pouring into people. If we feel like, okay, I got everything done I need to get done. You can think about people that that's unsaved. You can give somebody a call. Or you can think about somebody who's saved and you can call them up, see how they doing. There's so much that we can get done. When we have a mindset to serve, there's always something that can be done because there's always people out there who can use help. NCAA tournament this year, man, it had all kinds of surprises. I mean, I was sitting there watching it. My bracket actually started off nice this year because I picked Dayton to beat Ohio State, and that was the first game of the tournament, and a lot of people picked Ohio State to win that game, so I was so excited when they won that game. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm a Michigan fan. Like, I spoke on them a little bit last week. It was disappointing to see them lose that game, but, they played hard and whatnot. They played hard, and so it is what it is. So it should be interesting to see what happens in the offseason, who goes, who stays, But, yeah, I mean, the tournament, it had so many surprises. I mean, one of the things you kind of can factor in is, okay, there's going to be some upsets. So let me try to figure out what the upsets is going to be. And interestingly enough, like, out of the region that UConn came out of, I actually picked North Carolina to come out of that region. That was kind of like my risky pick to come out of that region. And so it's interesting that it ended up being UConn to do it. But this year, my bracket was all hit up. I picked Dayton to beat Ohio State, but I didn't think Dayton was going to beat Syracuse. Like, I had Syracuse going a long ways, you know what I mean? So it was like one of the things where it was like, wow, you know, how about the UConn Huskies? I mean, you got to get them props with the guard play. I mean, they have really good guards. They have a good overall team. They have good coaching. Kevin Ollie, you know what I'm saying, doing his thing, you know, in his first NCAA tournament. And so I got a question. Can you name another coach who won a championship in his first NCAA tournament? He was a former coach of Michigan, Steve Fisher. Steve Fisher did it with the 1989 championship team. It was under a different set of circumstances, though. And if you don't know about that situation, you can research kind of what happened with the previous coach. I'm not going to go into all of that. So the men and the women both won a national championship in the same year. And the thing about it is, that's not the first time UConn did that. They did it back in 2004. So UConn has some ball players on that campus. They got some ball players. The cool thing about the tournament is like it gives smaller schools a legitimate opportunity to compete for a national championship. I mean, you know, it gives like a school like a Mercer opportunity to go up against a Duke. It gives a school like Dayton the opportunity to go up against an Ohio State or a Syracuse. I mean, it's the cool thing about the tournament. It's important for us to be secure in Jesus Christ and that we don't allow what people say about us, you know, to get us distracted or get us off course of what God has called us to do. Sometimes we can experience opposition from non-believers, and sometimes we can experience opposition from people who profess to be Christians, but at the end of the day, you know, it's important that we're secure in Jesus Christ and that we continue moving forward and doing what He's called us to do, regardless of what other people say and think about it. But, you know, sometimes there may be people who just don't really care for you or don't like you for whatever reason. And that's how it is in life sometimes, but don't let that discourage you because realize and remember that God loves you. God is the one that we want to please. At the end of the day, people can say a lot of nice things about a person, but if God is not pleased with that person, then that's a big time problem right there. I want God to be pleased with me. And so it's important for us to keep that relationship going. I mean, to make sure that we continue to spend time with Him, that we spend time in the Word, that we go out and do what He says to do. You know, there's a joy that comes with obeying God and going out and making disciples and seeing fruit. We stay connected to God, there's so much that we can get accomplished. There's so much progress we can make. So it's important for us to stay secure in Jesus Christ, you know, to think on things that are true, to think on things that are pure, to stay faithful to what He's called us to do. So I want to thank you for watching episode number 1.